What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? So it's been a while since I've done one of these. Had some transition things happening in my life, so I had to take care of those. But I'm back. I'm glad I'm back. I'm going to be able to do a few more of these. With that being said, I'm really excited. Today is Geography Now Comoros. And so I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a country that I have never heard of. So I'm very interested in being able to learn about this country and its culture and its people. Never watched the video. Let's check it out.
So, as you guys know,
That's a little loud.
Peeps usually help us write the scripts for these episodes for your countries. However, I couldn't find anybody from Comoros, so I got the next best thing. Say hi to my friend, Nick.
Hey
Okay, so we didn't find anybody from Comoros.
Yeah, I really don't know anything about Comoros, though, Paul.
Shut up, Nick.
That's funny.
It's time to learn geography.
No! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie. Comoros, Africa's moon islands, named after the Arabic word Comor, meaning moon. And you know what else has moons on it? The flag.
Okay, didn't know that Kamar was moon. That's pretty awesome.
The flag of Comoros was designed and adopted in 2002 and has an interesting story behind it. First of all, the hoist side has a green triangle pointing right with a white crescent and 4 white stars inside of it.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have never seen this flag ever. I do like the choice of colors, and I'm interested to hear why the crest symbol is important to them and why the 4 stars and why the colors, honestly. But I'm definitely interested.
The triangle overlaps 4 stripes of yellow, white, blue, and red. Each of the 4 stars and 4 stripes.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, man.
Yellow for Moheli, red for Anjouan, blue for Grand Comore, and white for Mayotte. Even though
Okay, there we go.
Consider it part of Comoros.
Wait, so one of the island that represents the color doesn't consider itself a part of that area. Interesting. What's up, Nighthawk?
Where the family drama comes in. Let's explain in
political geography.
Dinosaur head islands, because all the islands are kind of shaped like hadrosaur skulls. I'm just saying.
I didn't see the one that he said there. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I think that's a. Let's see. Stretch right here, man. Look at that. Doesn't fit. This one, whatever. But yeah, that's a stretch. Let's see.
I'm just saying. One thing you have to understand is that when it comes to administration, Comoros is basically like a tropical African soap opera. First of all, the country is an archipelago of islands located in the Indian Ocean at the northern end of the Mozambique Channel off the east.
Oh wow, so it's like really off the coast there.
The capital is Moroni. No, not the angel Moroni from the Book of Mormon. Moroni, which translates to the heart of fire, possibly named that way because of its proximity to a volcano. Now let's have some fun. If you ever talk to somebody from Comoros, chances are they'll tell you that the country has 4 islands, Mayotte totally belonging to them. But if you talk to somebody from Mayotte, they'll tell you that they are French and that Comoros is clingy. Basically, that's
funny.
Like this. Okay, guys, all in favor of becoming independent from France?
Okay, so that old flag. Let's go back there real quick. Okay, let's go.
French and that Comoros is just being clingy.
Let's listen to this.
Like this. Okay, guys.
Okay, so the old flag I also hadn't seen, but I'm gonna say that I like that they integrated the colors to represent the islands so far. That seems like a pretty cool idea.
Guys, all in favor of becoming independent from France?
Aye. Nah, I'm good. I'll just stay French.
Seriously? Dude.
The main islands of the country, which go by both French and Comorian names, are Grand Comore or
Grand
Ngaziche,
Comore,
Anjouan or Nzwani, and Moheli or Mwali. During the move for independence in 1970,
I'm learning.
Mayotte or Maore voted against independence and to this day remains as an overseas department and region of France. The Comorian government to this day still rejects the referendum because, hey, referendums are basically just a way for a bunch of people to agree on being wrong on the same thing.
So we got some like real China-Taiwan thing going on here, where Taiwan's like its own thing, and China's saying, "Nah, you guys are part of our heart." So that's an interesting thing to see. Let's see how this develops and continues to develop.
Right. On top of that, Comoros also lays claim to some of the Îles Éparses de l'Océan Indien, or the scattered islands in the Indian Ocean. Yeah, they kind of got bored and just got generic with that title. Islands like the Glorioso Islands, including Grand Glorious, and
never heard of it. Wow.
Lily Island, as well as 6 small islets, and Banc du Geyser, a submerged reef with a barely elevated empty sandbar that is incredibly difficult to get to.
Challenge accepted.
The largest populous island is Grand Comore, located in the west, which hosts the capital as well as the seat of national government. However, it's a little more complicated than that. The second largest island, Anjouan, and the smallest, least populated.
What's crazy is these form one nation. They're far apart from what I can tell. So very interesting.
Moheli Island Island each have a strange federation autonomy, which gives them a little more loose incorporation.
That makes
They
sense.
partially self-govern themselves with their own constitutions, parliaments, and governors. However,
Okay, so what he just said there about how they kind of take care of their own, they have their own parliament, their own constitution and everything. I want to know how big this island is, man. Like how many people there are on it, because that seems like it would be challenging to govern in one body when each one of them has their own parliament. But it makes sense because they're kind of far apart from what I can tell.
to keep things fair, the union president that resides over the entire country rotates between islands. So that means the next president has to come from a different island from the previous one.
That
main islands,
that makes sense.
islets, especially
You know, that actually does make sense. You know what I mean? Where each individual island has a president that they get to have, the country gets to be represented, or the island gets to be representative, as the presidential elections come up. So that's kind of cool. I wonder if that would work here in the U.S. I doubt it, but it makes sense. I think we would have a little bit more understanding of what each state in our country, has, like in what kind of challenges they face and what they go through. Because what works in New York maybe doesn't work in California. What works in California doesn't work in Ohio, and what works in Ohio probably doesn't work in Massachusetts. All states that I've been to. So, yeah, that's an interesting take. I actually think that'd be cool to see how that would play out. And I feel like maybe over here in the States, we'd be a little bit more sympathetic to the challenges that each place faces and what they're going through. So I'm interested to hear how that works for these guys, and see if it's caused any drama or any wars. Let's see.
found off the southern coast of Little Moheli, and a bunch of sandbars and reefs especially found off of the Bimini Peninsula.
Also, sorry for the brain fog, man. I haven't had breakfast yet.
By Old Friday Mosque on Grand Comore Island, Mutsamuru Citadel on Anjuan, and the country's only national park, Moheli Marine Park, located on Moheli, packed with sea turtles and tropical fish, perfect for diving. I feel like this video is kind of turning into one of those cheesy resort videos like, welcome to Comoros, where your tropical dream destination awaits you. Well, let's see if this country lives up to resort standards, shall we?
Check it out.
So the Comoros Islands are kind of green and lush. I mean, when
it's an island
from volcanoes, you pretty much have prime dibs on first-rate soil. Nonetheless, they still
makes sense.
Individual contrasts. First of all, because of the way how the islands were formed, all three islands kind of lack good harbor zones for ships. This is because, unlike other island nations like Seychelles or Sri Lanka, Comoros lacks an immediate continental shelf or at least an elevated underwater plateau to foster safe docking spots. This makes
that's probably tough to deal with.
Other island nations. On top of that, the islands are quite active in volcanic activity. In fact, if you look at the northern slope of Grand Comore, you can see several dozen extinct volcano calderas that
I'm gonna stay where the cold hurts my face.
freckle the entire landscape, making it look like the country has bad acne.
Shut up, it's just my hormones.
Grand Comore is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. The highest point, Mount Carthala, which erupted more than 20 times in the past century alone.
Ooh, that's tough.
In the caldera, but then in 2005, the volcano erupted again and completely destroyed it. Let me repeat that. The volcano effectively evaporated an entire lake. Anjuan is interesting in that it's kind of shaped like a triangle. This is because the three mountain chains, the Sim, the New Makele, and the Jimilime, meander outwards from the central peak, the Mitingi. As mentioned before, the island also has the best reefs off of its coast. Moheli is the smallest and least developed of the islands, which gives it the opportunity to exploit its vast nature zones, giving it the unofficial title of being the cleanest island. Overall, the island has a physical makeup that sort of resembles that of Madagascar, in which you can find similar plants like tropical hardwoods, mangroves, palms, and fruit trees. Some of the animals are unique to the islands, like the incredibly rare livingstone fruit bat with a wingspan nearly 2 meters long, one of the largest.
Wow, that's crazy.
Can only be found on Anjuan and Moheli. Can you imagine this guy in your backyard? Yeah, and wait till we get to the Philippines episode. Less than half the land at about 45% is arable, and lots of the food still has to be imported since domestic production doesn't meet the food demand. Nonetheless, Comoros have a few agricultural tricks up their sleeves. They've utilized their tropical surroundings to their advantage and capitalized on harvesting some of the most expensive products in the world. To this day, Comoros is the world's largest producer of the rare ylang flower, which is used in perfumes and fragrances, meeting up to 80% of the entire world's market. Finally, almost every
80% of the whole world's market comes out of that little island. That's pretty good.
Either fishes or knows somebody who fishes. You can expect a lot of soups, stews, and curries that incorporates fish or shellfish cooked in interesting ways, like the langouste à la vanille or lobster broiled in vanilla sauce. Man, for a country with so many internal squabbles, these people really know how to eat. Let's discuss what these people are like.
Okay, I'm interested. Let's go.
Okay, so Comoros is one interesting country when it comes to populace. Because of its history, almost everybody on the entire island has a complex racial mixture. First of all, not including Mayotte, the country has about 800.
So before they go into this, we know that there's obviously going to be French in their bloodlines. So I'm interested to see what else has been down that way.
People, and even though it's the second
800,000 people. Okay, it's the second smallest and fourth most dense in Africa.
African country in land area, it's the fourth most densely populated in Africa. At about 97%,
wow.
The vast majority of people on the island identify as Comoran, and the rest are a mixture of all types of people groups like the Malagasy, the Indian, the white, French, and even a few Chinese people have settled into the country as well. Now here's where I kind of want to elaborate a little more on what a Comoran is. Comorans have deep roots in multiple people groups. Archaeologists speculate that originally the islands were settled by Bantu peoples from African mainland areas somewhere around the 6th century.
Okay,
AD, however,
never heard of them.
as early as the 1st century.
So
This
cool,
technique makes
very
Comorans
awesome to learn about them.
overseas colonies originally settled by Africans, which is kind of cool. I mean, remember the last time we talked about something like that? Over time, Arabs came over and then they brought along the Malay, and by golly gosh, the French got mixed in somehow, and to this day, the average Comoran has roots in at least 2 or more of these people groups.
Sweet.
So yes, that means that many Comorans may even have Southeast Asian blood in them. That's pretty crazy. The country has 3 official languages, Comorian, French, and Arabic, and most people are proficient in at least 2, if not all 3 of these languages. As a Bantu language, Comorian closely resembles Swahili and is sometimes considered a dialect. From an early age, kids are taught Arabic from Quranic schools. However, Comorian is more widely spoken, and French is the language of business and government. Culture-wise, the country holds a tradition. The majority of the population, at about 96%, adheres to a branch of Sunni Islam under the Shafi school of jurisprudence. Other faiths are also still technically allowed to exist, but are heavily discouraged and restricted. Nonetheless, Islam in Comoros doesn't really follow the typical Middle Eastern style format. Most women don't even wear hijabs regularly unless maybe it's a formal
Beautiful attire, by the way. I love the color schemes.
occasion, and they might wear the traditional shiromani. You can also spot a lot of the women wearing the traditional nzinzanu paint mask made out of sandalwood and coral, as it acts as a natural sunblock and it really exfoliates the skin. Now,
I was about to ask why they had that on their face.
Bottom of the worldwide GDP index. This is partially attributed to the fact that there's a huge age gap. About half of the entire population is 15 or under. For assistance, most people are heavily dependent on remittance money sent from relatives living abroad. About 400,000 Comorans live abroad, 200,000 of which live in France alone. This also includes Comorans that migrate to neighboring Mayotte in hopes of finding more work and quality of life. About a quarter of Mayotte's population are Comoran, and as a half-open backdoor to the EU, the GDP is about 9 times higher than
that looks gorgeous.
Free healthcare and education benefits. Mahorans and Comorans, Mahorans and Comorans, they're coming.
Oh man.
Stairs. You British people know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Mahorans and Comorans have a long history and similar culture that goes back centuries. Of course, they were all under the same sultanate at one point, and then under French protectorate status, and then finally, when it came to independence, Mayotte was like,
nah, you guys go ahead. I'd rather be French.
It's funny because Nick's actually from the UK, and I made him say that. Ha!
Oh, snuffed.
The thing, even though the country is relatively new, and even though they are a federal presidency, they've had about 20 military coups since independence. Really
okay.
The first
now we're getting to the nitty gritty. Let's see. So they said there's 20 coups. Why was there 20 coups?
Disputably fair election didn't even happen until 2006. On top of that, Anjouan and Moheli declared their own independence from Comoros in 1997, trying to reinstate the French rule, but France was like, nah, I'd rather just keep Mayotte. Which totally threw them off, inciting a confusing period of conflict for 4 years, until in 2001, with the help of the African Union, they decided to reconcile back to Comoros, but have autonomous status. So as you can see, Comoros has had enough internal tension as it stands. Now let's see how they stand on the world stage.
Friend zone.
Comoros has had a lot of drama with a relatively short period of time since independence. They've pretty much been bombarded with diplomatic missions all over the world. One thing you should know is that Comoros is the southernmost member of the Arab League. In a sense,
I didn't know that.
Had some kind of tie to the Arab world since they were colonized by Arabs in the early 7th century onward to the Arab slave trade times, and to this day, Libya and Qatar are probably the closest friends in the League. Libya played a role in the conflicts after independence, and to this day sends various humanitarian missions with medical specialists to the country. Qatar has not only been close for a while, but recently has been investing heavily in the Comorian fishing industry and has opened up jobs for many Comorians. They're also part of the Indian Ocean Commission, which includes Madagascar and Seychelles.
And Mauritius.
Yes, Nick, and Mauritius, which administers trade and cooperation agreements between the 4 countries. When it comes to their best friends, though, they might begrudgingly say France. Yes, they have the drama with Mayotte, and yes, they did declare independence, but they can't deny the fact that France has such a significant relationship with them, and it still lingers today.
It's so crazy to me to think that such a small country in Europe conquered such a big portion of the world at one point. Like it boggles my mind to think that Europe, like when you really look at Europe, to think at everything that they did and the way they spread out. Like to do that is an amazing feat in itself. Obviously, a lot of good came from it, a lot of bad came from it, but it's an amazing feat to think how the countries of Europe, or what is currently now Europe, spread out like that, and how far their reaches go. Because like these islands are super small off the coast of Africa, so very interesting.
France is the largest aid provider, trade partner, diplomatic engager, and even trainer of their army. Comorans might hate to admit it, but without France, they would probably look a lot different, and not in a good way. In conclusion, Comoros is kind of like a group of quadruplets in which 3 are chastising 1 for getting married to a brother-in-law that they hate admitting that they kind of approve of. Stay tuned. Congo, the Democratic Republic, is coming up next.
Okay, so shout out to these guys for the video. Again, had no idea about that country or anything that like it had for resources or what had happened in its history. So I'm very interested to continue to learn and continue to push forward. Forgive me for some of the brain fog and the word scrambles there that were happening. I haven't eaten. I'm very tired, and today is my first day at the new place, so I got to get something in my system before I go to work. So with that being said, muchas gracias for watching. I appreciate you all for engaging, and thanks. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Stay blessed.